to Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
Hello and happy Winter Veil, Forgers. This is episode number 51 of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. This is your show host, Jeff Reynolds, and as always, I'm here with Kristen Ashton, the co-host of the show, who is more awesome than this glorious holiday season. How is it going, Kristen?
It is going great. I am on day 23 of my nonstop Christmas music marathon, and it's fantastic. I love Christmas music. Some people hate it, and I worked retail too. But I love Christmas music. It's great, and I love this holiday season. But how are you, Jeff?
I'm doing
holiday music bombardment.
I'm doing good. I can't say that I've gone 26 days straight. Maybe like the last week or so I've been listening to it. But tell me about this. Do you have like a commitment to yourself that anytime you listen to music, it has to be Christmas music?
Basically, Thanksgiving ends and I just go into Christmas party mode. So every station I turn on has got to be Christmas music. And it's so much easier than in my childhood because you would pull out the old mixtapes and there would be one station in the city playing nonstop Christmas hits. But nowadays you've got things like Spotify that have countless types of Christmas music things. So now not only am I listening to the hits from, Bing Crosby, for instance, but you can also listen to classics like Handel and Bach and all of the strings and orchestrations that were written way back in the day for the Christmas time.
Yeah, there's a different appreciation for it as you grow into the different types of music. I think as you're growing up, you probably just listen to, or at least I did, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer over and over and over again, and that can be exhausting.
It can be, right? Because there's so little variation. I think we lucked out, though, because my mom got the Time Life Classic Treasury of Christmas songs, and that thing was a 3-disc set. So we had about, 3 to 4 hours of different songs to go through.
Ah, that sounds great. I mean, the holiday season is upon us, and even in the Nexus. Forgers, thanks for hanging on. We had to take a Sunday off, but we're bringing you an amazing Winter Veil episode today. I got my Murloc Christmas sweater on. Kristen's got her scarf. We're bundled up here on the West Coast where, well, Kristen, you actually said you had snow recently.
We did. We had snow. It was raining all morning. And then Kyle and I were playing Heroes and we were streaming it. We were getting a little Heroes in before the break. And the rain suddenly turned to snow. And it was this magical, magical moment. It didn't last very long, maybe about 2 hours, but it was still pretty winter wonderlandy.
And then a bell rang and an angel got its wings.
Exactly. Or a little Murloc. I like to think little Murloc angels get their wings.
Murloc angels do get their wings. There's tons to talk about, but before we get onto it, just a little bit of our holiday show schedule. Normally we record the show every Sunday night at 7 p.m., but because these holidays are just landing back to back to back, one after another on Sundays, we've mixed it up just a little bit, but we're bringing you just as much Heroes Forge. So, the next episode that we'll record will be recorded live on the 26th. It'll be our 52nd episode, which means we have done this for an entire year. We have forged 52 characters at that point. So, Kristen, why don't you tell everybody? It was a suggestion from a listener, right?
It was the community telling us what they wanted to hear in celebration, and it's been decided that Jeff and I are going to forge one another.
We will be forging each other on the 52nd episode, which will be on the 26th, the Monday after Christmas Day, which is next Monday. And then the following episode will be on the 2nd of January. And these are both at 7 p.m. Pacific time, streamed right here on twitch.tv/Amove TV. And that'll be the first episode of 2017. And on the path to 52 plus more amazing episodes. So if you have ideas for our next year celebration or our next Winter Veil next year, shoot them at us in an email or a tweet and we will write them down and cherish them all year long on this journey that is Heroes Forge. Let's talk a little bit about the news that's going on in the game right now. Ragnaros, Kristen, I thought that I loved Varian in the game and playing Varian, but I absolutely could not. It's so my play style to play Ragnaros. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Now, do you have him to 10 yet? Because you're not the only one I've seen who has just fallen in love and really taken hold of this character and just nonstop for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, I haven't got him to 10, but I think I'm at 8. So I'm powering through. I mean, I'm playing a lot of Heroes recently, and Ragnaros and Quick Match is so fun. And I was listening to Into the Nexus, and they talked a little bit about how Ragnaros got a buff, or a nerf, rather, recently, and people stopped playing him. So I rarely play against another Ragnaros.
Isn't that funny to see? It's hilarious because it seems so many people get stuck on what the hot new hero is, but there are so many great options in there. And as long as you play them well and you play to their strengths while helping your team, why not play them all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool. I was playing with my buddy who didn't know about Ragnaros. He knew he was in the game, but didn't know anything that he could do. And just the audible gasp of these players that that experienced the fort transition the first time, like, and Lil Ragnaros too is great. Like, behold, Lil Ragnaros. I mean, it's so much fun.
He's adorable. Now, do you try to get people stuck in the lava wave? Do you have your team bait people to stay in the lane as you send it out?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can. And I have found, and this is, again, my amateur personal opinion, I have found that Ragnaros is really strong on Haunted Mines and on Braxis Holdout. I mean, because you're really fighting at these forts or core, or fighting at the keeps. So it's insane what he can do when you could transform over. People are getting smart though. They're taking him out fast, and it's been a blast. But I mean, Heroes is already on the horizon of the next hero that's coming out.
They are. We found out we're getting our first troll, and not the trolls that we normally play with. An actual troll.
An actual troll. Zul'jin is on his way to the Nexus. It's got a really cool flavor. Are you excited, Kristen, being a Horde player?
Not really, and I'm gonna eat my words after this, because I may actually take very well to this hero, judging his kit and how I know I play this game. But I've never been interested in the trolls. I got the Raptor mount because I thought it was cool, but they're these weird little guys that live on some islands just south of Orgrimmar. And that's really all they do. And I didn't play Warcraft heavily when we had the troll leader of the Horde, so I had no connection there. But it'll be fun to see how this guy works out.
Yeah, and a lot of people are looking forward to it. I mean, this was a very anticipated and wished for character in the game. We've seen tons of people tweeting, we've got to add this character into the game, got to get him in. We were going to forge him on the show at one point. We just never got to it. But it's pretty cool that they're going to try to include everything. But I feel like they've got to start spreading the wealth, because the last characters have been Warcraft,
Maybe, but Warcraft is enormous in comparison to the rest of the properties that they have. So we could give them grief for that, but at the same time, Warcraft is such a dominating factor. Warcraft is pretty much what they built their company off of. World of Warcraft, I would argue, is probably what launched them into the juggernaut that they are today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I definitely think that it is their bread and butter, and people are in love with it, and they're over here playing this game. There's a ton of characters in all of these games. I'm so excited to see where they go, and the fact that they're keep on pushing forward. We say it all the time. They keep pushing forward, 3 to 4 week release schedule, and they're not letting us down. Season 3 just started. Have you done your placements yet?
I did my placements, and I did much better than season 1. That was pretty rough. More losses than wins, but I finally got 5-5. It was equal, and I placed gold 3. So only 2 down from my gold 1 that I got the first season. And not too bad, because interestingly enough, even though the skill cap that I watch Kyle play at Diamond, in Diamond 3, Diamond 2, that area, there are people still making the same mistakes up there as they do in gold. It's so weird.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like when we had the amazing chance to play with those guys on the team league, and we were facing these teams that were just different skill levels than I am, and we're in there, and they're making some of the same mistakes, and it's encouraging, kind of, in a way. Not that people are making mistakes. I mean, that they're all human. You see these people that are grandmasters, mistakes get made. Where, on the other hand, when you watch these esports tournaments and you see these amazing moments and things happening, I have to remind myself that those are people that have been practicing together for months, weeks, hours and hours and hours upon practicing. So it's encouraging. I haven't gotten to do my placements yet. Been super busy with everything going on. But when I do, I'm curious to see how far I can go this season. I'm really going to log some serious games and see if I can get to something that is not, like, maybe even try to get beyond gold. Try to just really log some serious Heroes time.
Totally. My goal this year is definitely plat, and I think I figured out the way to game that. It's pretty much see what heroes your fellow teammates freak out around and take those heroes, because chances are the enemy team is going to be filled with the same people that freak out because Samuro splits into 3 and all of a sudden we're running around because we don't know what to do anymore because they don't learn how to spot the real one. Or just the people that stand in Li Ming's laser. It's going off and they just dance in the laser beam.
Totally. I mean, that's a great suggestion. I got to get some more heroes under my belt. Lots of practice. Season 3 is going to be awesome. Everybody get out there, log some serious games. Like we talked about at the beginning, Wintervale is in the Nexus. Just a reminder, because we talked about this on our last episode, of the things that you can obtain from this. It's the 14th of December, which is already passed, to the 4th of January, so a good amount of time to play and log these games. There's the Snowflake Portrait, the Treasure Goblin Mount, and of course there's that bonus to the XP during the whole event, so you can get your heroes and you can get your Ragnaroses up to level 10. I was a little disappointed in the Ragnaros color variations for the skins, because they're all basically another shade of red. I was hoping there'd be like a blue Ragnaros or a purple Ragnaros, but they're all pretty much red.
You're right, different variations of red. I guess they thought there were some things that should not be changed or tampered with, and when it comes to the fire color, that was one of them. Probably
well said. I mean, different elements. Maybe we'll be expecting some different characters in the game that might include those elements in the future. Kristen, you have written down here the Winter Brawl. I haven't played it yet. Can you tell me about it?
It's a lot of fun. It's in Cursed Hollow. There's snow all over the ground. The bosses are covered in snow. And there are 2 types of snowballs that appear on the map. One does a lot of damage to structures, and it slows heroes pretty hard. The other is a really, really long skill shot that knocks back enemy heroes and deals damage. So those are great and a lot of fun to throw at each other in lane. But then the first curse pops, and as soon as that one's grabbed, they just start popping. And instead of being shaped like the Raven's face, it's a present with 2 candy canes behind it. And then the first to 3 gets the curse. So in that way, your game's done in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, that's incredible. Tell me, it has to feel so good when you land a snowball skill shot from like across the lane. You just hit somebody out of the blue. That probably is an amazing moment.
It was beautiful. There was this Illidan that kept trying to kill me, and not only did I snowball him out, but then he dashed forward at me, and I was in my own tower range, and he thought he could get out in time, but I damaged him enough, and then the tower got him down to a sliver of health, but it was one of our archer minions that landed the final blow. It was so funny, that poor Illidan.
Nothing feels better. That's amazing. I can't wait to play it and log my games and get the gold. I feel like my gold is piling up with all of these brawls. It feels good. It feels like you're completing quests and you're getting things out there and you're able to purchase a few heroes that maybe you haven't played before. And of course, with the Nexus challenge and everything going on, they're really promoting people getting a big stable of heroes that they're all going to want to buy skins for and mounts. I mean, it's just really, it feels like the holiday season. It feels really great. And speaking of the holiday season, I think it's time to say, let's forge.
Let's forge.
All right, this is the very special Winter Veil 2016 episode of Heroes Forge, our very first Winter Veil episode. And Kristen and I chatted about this, about how to make it as much like Winter Veil as possible and include all of these characters that we know and love from these games that are part of that. So we each forged a different character today, so it's going to be a little different than normal. There won't be a vote on Twitter for this specific episode. Normally what we do is we forge the same character and then we vote on which one we think is one of the better builds, and you get to cast your vote on Twitter. But because there's two different characters and we only have about 3 days before we bring you more Heroes Forge, there won't be a vote on this one, so just sit back, relax, enjoy a nice warm beverage of your choice, and enjoy the holiday forging here. Kristen, you won last week's Prophet Velen episode vote, and I gotta say, your build was just killer and deserved to win. It was great.
Thank you very much. But you can't thank me. You got to thank the people who voted, right? Because without their votes, one of you would have taken it.
That's right. Thank those people that voted for Kristen. I'll thank the people that voted for me, and I know Trappy, who helped us create that character on the stream, would thank everyone that voted for him. So thanks everybody for voting, and make sure if you haven't voted for a character before, in our future episodes, jump on our Twitter after the show and you can vote for which build you think took the cake and won that week. So because Kristen won, I get to go first this week. So I was scouring all these Winter Veil characters and trying to find somebody that I wanted to forge, and I decided I would love to forge the Strange Snowman, who is a random NPC that is a snowman in a part of the Winter Veil scene.
Where does he appear? I've never heard of this Strange Snowman.
I believe he appears in Hillsbred Foothills, and he's part of a quest line. So here's a little introduction that I wrote about the Strange Snowman, who his name actually is Saks, and it's a play off of the department store Saks Fifth Avenue. So his name is Saks. So a poor worker is sent out into the cold, sent to find stolen treats and gifts during the holiday season, only to never return. While traveling out in the wilderness, adventurers in Azeroth may stumble upon a strange snowman during the holiday season. This magical snowman is just asking for one thing: help restoring the magic of Winter Veil. And by magic, I'm talking about stolen gifts and treats. So if the adventurers so choose, they are able to aid the strange snowman and defeat the culprit, the abominable Grinch. But even if the Grinch is defeated and the treats are returned, he keeps showing up year after year, and the snowman is forever stuck, pointing adventurers in the direction of more stolen treats and gifts. If someone would only travel out and find a way to thaw the snowman and set him free, oh well, looks like the holidays are saved until next year.
I've seen Jack Frost. I know how that ends when he's set free. I don't know if I can emotionally handle setting this strange snowman free.
Well, it's great. I mean, I was reading what little there is about, this strange snowman and the quest line that you go into, and you actually do get to go out there and defeat the Grinch, and it's part of the Winter Veil daily quest line and all of this stuff. And come to find out, in some of his chatter with the adventurers in Azeroth, he says that he's actually not a snowman, that he just was traveling out looking for these gifts and got trapped and frozen out there in Hillsbred Foothills. So, I mean, that's why I brought up the fact that if someone would just go out there and thaw him, and every year when you turn in the quest, the people you turn the quest into say, oh, we're going to send somebody out there to take care of that snowman. But alas, they do not.
That's so cruel. What if he had a family, right? How many years has this been going on? What if he had a family to support? What did his wife have to do? What about his kids? Are they okay? This is dark, Blizzard. Happy holidays indeed.
This is very, very dark. But, you know, in the spirit of the Winter Veil, I like to think that his family went out looking for him. Maybe he has 3 kids and a wife. And when they went out looking for him, they decided that because he was frozen like a snowman, they were going to make the ultimate sacrifice of the holidays and freeze as snowmen themselves. And now they live as a very happy snowman family. And every year they point adventurers toward the Grinch.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. But as long as the Grinch isn't some elite, right, that you show up and you think you can beat, but then he wrecks. They send adventurers to their death. Happiest snowman family ever.
This could get really dark, people, really dark. So as I said, the character's name is Sax after Saks Fifth Avenue, and he is the strange snowman. And I understand, before we get this whole thing started, that Jaina's Winter Veil skin, if you take the water elemental, it shows up as a snowman on the battlefield. So it would be tough to create another snowman in the Nexus, but this is just for fun. So I decided after starting this build that, believe it or not, I was going to go with a tank, an ranged tank at that.
Yeah, that might be hard, but think he's snow and it's thick compounded snow, so if he takes hits, it's just going to hit the snow. I mean, you'd have to have a projectile of extreme intensity in order to pierce through that body, assuming, you know, he's a big snowman.
Yeah, he's a big snowman, and he's out there. I mean, he's been out there for years, like we said, so he's collected a lot of snow, and his trait kind of plays into that. It's called Snowball. So I wrote, come on, you can't have a snowman in the Nexus without a trait named Snowball. So the strange snowman's trait is a powerful one that allows him to gain strength throughout the battle. The strange snowman starts the game with a set amount of health and damage output like all of the heroes in the Nexus. But there's one small difference. The more the snowman moves, he will gain attack damage and health up to a maximum stat. Think of it like this. While he rolls out of the battlefield, he's picking up snow and becoming more powerful and regaining health. The fantasy here is that the strange snowman would be a fast-moving tank that would use his mobility to help regain health and gain attack damage while he is body blocking and helping other heroes in the Nexus. The player would need to be well versed in the art of stutter stepping and not standing still to ensure that they are always regaining health. If the strange snowman stops moving, he will begin to melt and will start to lose all of the stacks that were gained from this trait.
That's fantastic. Your heroes, Jeff, are great for teaching people simple mechanics. I mean, this is great because it's just moving, and legitimately, once the higher you climb, the more you have to be moving all the time is something I've come across, because there are projectiles flying all over the place. What if Chromie's trying to hit you with sands, or Li Ming is trying to hit you with her orbs? As long as you're continually moving, you decrease the chance that they will hit you with those things. So I love it. And the fact that you move and regenerate health, oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, usually when we talk about tanks on the show, we have to start thinking about ways of how can these characters take a lot of damage? How are they going to regen their health? You know, is it going to be the Drain Hope from Leoric? Is it going to be, you know, all these shields from Zarya that help them stay alive, help them take those shots? And so I thought, well, why not? Because it's kind of like a snowball where you just keep rolling. If you imagine a snowball rolling down a hill, it's just going to collect all this snow and become bigger and stronger as it rolls down the hill. Now, of course, because this is a trait, it would not be super OP. You would just have to be aware of it, of when you're at your strongest, and continue to move so that you don't lose your strongest self. And speaking of that, it kind of moves into the mount idea that I had. I'm a huge fan of the film Christmas Vacation. Have you seen it before?
Yes, every Christmas. Every Christmas. My dad loved that movie. It's been passed down.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So if you haven't seen it, check out Christmas Vacation. So I imagine that the strange snowman's mount would be a metal sled disc. You know, you've seen those metal sled discs like in the movie, and he would kind of just jump on it and then be able to slide faster across the battlefield.
Nice. Now, would it have the the sparks coming out from the side?
Yes, unless the battlefield had snow on it or water. I mean, water would do the thing too, which we don't currently have other than the brawl that you just spoke of. So until we get that, Arthas map, basically like a Northrend map with snow on it, yes, it would absolutely just spark all over the place as the snowman was traveling across, Brax's holdout on a sled.
And you could imagine the sound would be basically nails on chalkboard. So in that case, you probably have a snowman that would ride in and just would refuse to dismount because he'd use the noise to drive the enemy team bonkers.
Absolutely. Love that idea. Let's get into some basic abilities here. So my Q is called We Can Take 'Em. So Sax loads up a huge stack of snowballs and begins to rapidly fire them in a selected direction. These snowballs can be fired while moving, of course, because of his trait, and will deal damage to the targets that they hit. This is a combination of the way that Tychus fires his minigun and the snowball fight from the movie Elf.
Yes, where the arm's going so fast you can't even see it anymore. It's just a blur. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so how quick would you be able to change the direction of this thing? Or would it be auto target?
No, I think you have to aim it. And you got a good stack of snowballs here. You're just going to, like you said, your arm is just rotating on your shoulder, just firing these snowballs, and you're moving. So I figure it would be really difficult to control because I want it to feel like Li Ming Disintegrate. Like that's how you control the line of snowballs that are going. Not as powerful as that, obviously, because that's a heroic ability. But still, that kind of feel where, you got to lead them a little bit. And it's tough to control.
Certainly, and it's a very interesting thing because you wouldn't think something that's continually going in a straight line for a period of time would be hard to control, but it really is. I mean, Li Ming's Disintegrate, like you mentioned, and Shadow Bolt Volley on Cho'Gall is just, if you whiff it, it's whiffed. There's really not much you can do to drag that thing back into alignment.
Yeah, exact same feel as Shadow Bolt Volley. That's a great point. I haven't played Cho'Gall in a while, but it should feel like that, where you've kind of you're controlling this arm that's just flinging snowballs like crazy. So that's the first basic. The second one is called Old Silk Hat, because he is a snowman. So this ability that the Strange Snowman will use, he'll use it like as an engage. So when activated, he will take his Old Silk Hat off and toss it onto a selected enemy hero in range. The enemy hero will not react to the hat's magic like snowmen do, but instead starts becoming a snowman themselves. They must move towards the strange snowman and place the hat back on his head to stop the transformation. If they're unable to accomplish this feat before they transform, they'll be stunned. The duration of the stun will be longer than the Zool Bone Prism, and the hero trapped in the snow would not have the ability to use abilities or basic attacks while stunned. So... You have to think of this like a Zool Bone Prison. So, you can see that circle underneath you as you're running away. The stun is inbound. But instead of running away from Zool or whoever is attacking you, you could make the choice to run towards the strange snowman. And if you happen to get close enough to in range to put the hat back on him or click on him when you're in range, then you wouldn't get the stun. So this is kind of a weird thing, right?
It's cool, though, because you could use it defensively or offensively, because we know with Zool's Bone Prison, if you don't care, you're either going to stand in place and keep attacking, or you're going to move forward and keep attacking. But if you need to get away, you just go back as fast as you can until it pops, you wait it out, and then you're free to go again. So this is interesting. It's kind of an opposite, right? Because what if his health is low, or what if he's standing there so he's losing health on top of it and you can finish him off? Oh, that would be such a high skill cap, lots of practice too.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't think of that. It's pretty crazy. I wanted something that was like a Stitches hook, but not like a Stitches hook. That they could choose whether or not to be stunned if they were running away. If they ran into you, maybe they were ready to fight and they knew that their whole team was behind them, and then they wouldn't be stunned. And also, I just like the visual of once they put that hat on the character, snow just starts appearing on the toon and just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they're stuck and frozen in snow for a second. I mean, it's basic again. So you're just frozen for a second, and then you break the snow and go on with the battle.
Yeah, the color for this animation is fantastic. And how long would you have to get the hat back to the snowman? Would it be a little longer than Bone Prison?
Yeah, I think it would have to be. You have to give him a chance. If you're going to give him an out, you got to give him a chance to get out, right? So, yes, and the stun is more punishing, but you have an option to defeat it.
True. And that's always nice when you have the option to get rid of the stun before it even gets you.
Yeah, and I'm also imagining that this wouldn't be a skill shot. Like, you would select a hero and then the snowman would just throw the hat and it would land on that hero. So that's the give and take there, where you don't have to skill shot them, but they have longer and the opportunity to cancel it out. So crazy idea that I got from the strange snowman wearing a hat, but not as crazy as some of these other ideas. So the third basic is called Oh Wintervale Tree. When selected, this ability, the strange snowman can choose a place near him on the battlefield for a large evergreen tree with lights to shoot up from the ground. This can be used as a roadblock or a tool to help set up a body block for the enemy team. This ability is on a very short cooldown, and if timed correctly, the player can have 2 trees up together for a very short amount of time. Also, I was thinking it would be cool if you could talent into this so that if the enemy touched the tree, they would be slowed. And then the snowman would say, little full, lot of sap.
Well, you have to promise in this case that you can also talent into having a squirrel in the tree as well.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know, that's a direct reference to Christmas Vacation. Go out and watch it. So I'm just imagining, and I think we had a character that had something similar to this before that we forged, where you're making a body block happen without an actual body there. It's like a Tassadar force wall, but not as powerful because it's a smaller target. I mean, it's the size of like an ETC or something, and it obviously doesn't move. It just shoots up from the ground, and they would have to run around it.
Yeah, and that would be incredibly helpful for a tank to have, because with playing tank and the body blocking is a little bit of a delay, and you can be annoying, sure, but they can get around you. But if you have this extra piece, you can get in front of them and then throw up. That's a few extra seconds of time that you can use to secure a kill, or at least secure the fact that somebody won't be rejoining a fight anytime soon.
Yeah, and imagine if you were on Sky Temple and you were on the bottom temple, and there's just those 2 hidden areas at the top left and the top right of that temple. You could throw a tree up in there, and it would make it harder for them to be able to get through if you were trying to capture the temple. You'd have to play it differently. It would be a cool, different kind of thing.
Totally. And imagine then, too, you get the slow with the tree. So you set it up in the mist with sight. So then suddenly enemies are running into it and get slowed. And then you get the squirrel on top of it that's going to deal a lot of damage. And maybe a cat runs in to try and kill, and it's a mess. And you've secured the tower. And
then the whole tree lights up on fire, and GG fireworks explode from the tree, and then the snowman says, "Joy to the world." This is the Christmas Vacation show, everyone. The Christmas Vacation show. Let's talk about a couple crazy heroics for Sax the Strange Snowman. This one's called Back Again Someday. Kristen, I want you to be honest with me if you think this is OP, okay? We all know the tale of Frosty the Snowman. That he waved goodbye, saying, "Don't you cry, I'll be back again someday." The strange snowman from World of Warcraft has taken a page out of Frosty's book of secrets, and in this heroic, if it's chosen, he will choose to melt and go on his death timer. So he will choose to die. Now, if you're asking yourself, why would I ever want to do that? Here's the catch. When Frosty chooses to melt and goes on his death timer, it will be a half reduced time until he's back up. And with his noble sacrifice, it will also reduce the death timers of all friendly teammates by 5 seconds. Also, the melting does not reward the enemy team with XP.
How long does it take to channel this thing? Is it instantaneous, or do you need a few seconds so the enemy team has a chance?
Ah, that's a good question that I didn't think of. I think that it would be instantaneous, believe it or not. I think that you are just going to say it's time to melt, and you're just going to plop down and melt and just decide to go on a death timer. Let's say all 4 of your other teammates got wiped out. You happen to be the only one left. Maybe you're the worst tank in the world like me, and you're the only one left out there. And so you say, I'm going to sacrifice myself. They're not going to get any XP from it, and we're all going to come back just a little bit sooner.
And what if it's not 5 seconds flat, but this second is a percentage based on how far into the game you are?
Oh, that's a better idea. Because if you take that at 10 and decide to use it, that's OP, right? I mean, if you take 5 seconds off of a level 10 character coming back to life, that's a little different.
Exactly. So that way this can scale with the team so that it's useful. Because 5 seconds, 30 minutes into a game, probably not going to be worth it. And I don't think people would choose it. But if you scale it, that would be incredible. And I love that it plays into this whole sacrifice to save others redemption sacrificial myth that we see across the world and cultures all over the earth. It's such a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it would be an odd choice. It would be something that you'd have to think, wow, we are down all the time. Like, this is something we need to be back up faster. And if it's scaled with the levels and, you know, you're basically giving everyone just a reduced death timer, not by a lot, but if you could do everyone on your team coming back up just 3 or 4 seconds sooner, that could be game changing.
Totally. And imagine if somebody made a mistake and they died and you have an objective popping, but they won't be up for 20 seconds. So you might as well kiss that goodbye and find something else to do. You could sacrifice yourself, have them up in time to come rejoin the team and potentially get that objective now. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different idea. And I think it might work. I mean, I'm sure we'd have to test it out a whole lot once it was created. This next one is even crazier. The second heroic is called Black Ice. So when this is selected, the strange snowman can select an area of the battlefield to turn to ice. This ice affects the movement of the enemy team, causing them to slide once they stop moving in a certain direction. Or even if they continue to move, they're sliding around. If an ability is used that pushes an enemy team member, they'll be pushed on the ice even further. So for example, let's say Ariel comes out and cracks her robe and pushes you back. You're going to be pushed and slide and you won't be able to stop. You'll have to kind of press your directional key to get going again, or, you know, start clicking in the right direction rather, to get going again before you start moving in that direction. So with the proper coordination, the idea is that this would be a heroic that would make placement on objectives and in team fights tough for the enemy, because if you drop this on the tribute, people are going to be sliding all over the place.
That is hilarious. But what I'm imagining though, is that you're so into getting the trainer, somebody whips him back and he goes flying, but everyone just keeps going after him. You're just like, guys, no, we're supposed to use this to just keep pinging him back. No!
It would be situational, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to take it or you wouldn't want to use it when you wanted to team fight. I mean, because these people would be flying all over the place. But I also think it'd be cool if you could talent into it so that your team could slide too. So if you're trying to chase somebody down, you could drop this ice and then slide that way. I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy idea.
Wouldn't that be cool though too if you could decide who slid on this ice?
Yeah, so in chat is saying, imagine like a Diablo and Ariel comp with this. I mean, there would just be people sliding all over. It would be so crazy and silly and stupid, but Kristen, as you know, and as all the listeners know, I love the animations of the ragdoll when people die and they just go flying. I am picturing what you said, where Ariel comes in and cracks the whip and somebody just goes flying out of the team fight because they're sliding across, like Chad is saying, when it's like snow driving in Seattle. If there's black ice on the street, you don't even see it, so maybe you wouldn't even see it on the battlefield and then just be blown away.
That it would be, and we've all had that moment where we've hydroplaned or we've hit the ice, where you're going to make a turn and the wheels are turned in the car, and you're looking because you're going to make the car, but the car's still going straight. You're just going, well, I hope this catches sometime soon.
Yeah, really. And the best idea from chat right now says Falstad's gust. You could gust the whole team and they would just fly straight across the battlefield.
All the way back to base. You could secure so many objectives that way. Just don't have him use his wins until it's objective time, and you've got it.
Yep. Combo, wombo, done. I agree. That is the strange snowman. If I had to sum it all up, I'd say he's this range tank that is a complete and total advertisement for Christmas Vacation.
Oh, yes. Yes. And maybe that's what the episode should have been. Christmas Vacation comes to the Nexus. And we recast the movie. And we recreate the classic scenes. And we're good.
I think I can smell Winter Veil episode 2017. All right, that's just one of the two Winter Veil builds that we're talking about here. But before we move on to Kristen's build, this is a huge time of year where we want to thank everybody that helps to support the show. If you support the show in any way, shape, or form, sending us emails, tweeting at us, being a patron member, also giving us ratings on iTunes, anything you do to support the show, even just listening or watching us, we are so grateful, blessed, honored, everything that we can be. I mean, I know I'm speaking for you, Kristen, but I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. We could not appreciate it more and could not even imagine that the show would be where it is today a year ago when we first started this.
It's true. It's the perfect time to be grateful, and happy holidays to all you guys. You know, it's a time of reflection and a time of happiness. And if I could give you all hugs individually, I would. Through the radio waves, I guess, is about as close. So listen to my warm voice and consider this a hug from us to you. Happy holidays from HeroesForge.
And that was Delilah's Christmas episode of HeroesForge. That was great. Yes, but seriously, thank you. And a super, super special thank you to our patrons that support us over on patreon.com/HeroesForge. Check it out. If you're in the giving mood and you want to help the show grow, you can head on over there and pledge us $1 or $2, and we will continue the good fight. Kristen, it's time to get onto your build. So, who did you choose to build in this Winter Veil episode?
I chose the Holiday Goblin, and maybe it's because I'm a little goblin myself, or we joke and we call our cat a little goblin, but you know, something resonates with me. So every Winter Veil, the past 2 years since Heroes has been out, they've had the Holiday Goblin. It's a 2-year tradition going strong, and he's got a Santa hat, he's got a beard, he's got candy canes and bells, and I love this mount. Cho'Gall goes on him, Butcher goes on, Sylvanas, everybody's on this mount. So I wanted to bring him to the Nexus.
If you had asked me what the best mount was, it's obviously the Treasure Goblin, because it is so funny to me that they ride the Treasure Goblin. And if you had asked me, how can you make that mount better? I would have said there's no way. There's absolutely no way to make it better. And then I would have been schooled, because the Santa Treasure Goblin is incredible.
He's so cute, and he drops snow wherever he runs, and he jingles, and he's still got his little laugh as he runs along. It's a good time.
It's great. And all the ads that they do for the, the snowman that pop out of the core and start dancing when you win, or maybe the Treasure Goblin on the flying reindeer that flies around. I mean, it's just great stuff. I love it. So you have a little intro here about your Treasure Goblin.
I do. Okay, so most goblins live in a treasure dimension, but not Santley. Santley lives in a wonderland of snow, presents, and Christmas. And when he does visit the Nexus, it's to spread holiday cheer to all of his teammates.
So you gave away his name. What's his name?
Yeah, his name is Santley.
Santley. Is there a story behind that, or is that, I mean, that's just a great name.
No, I looked up because we did the treasure goblin, and Snitchley was the only named goblin that I came across. So I decided to come up with something that was very similar to that. So it kept that flavor alive, and it was interesting though too, right? Because it's only that one name we have to go off of as to what treasure goblins call themselves.
Absolutely, I love it. That's great. Even a through line through Forge's past and characters past. Very cool. So what role specialization is Santley?
I'm calling him a specialist just because he's a little weird, but holiday special weird.
Oh, well, that's a good kind of weird, right?
It's the best kind of weird.
As you can see, this holiday special episode of Heroes Forge has even been holiday special weird. So this is perfect. It fits right in. Let's get into the trait. What were you thinking?
Okay, this first trait is called Ho Ho Ho, and it's kind of a two-parter. Now, as an aspect of Old Saint Nick, Santley can only use his abilities when not seen by either his team or the enemy team. Ooh. Minions and mercs don't count. Now, this means he is not visible on the minimap, even to his teammates. When spotted, though, his abilities go on immediate cooldown until he is out of range of vision. In addition, Santley's abilities leave gifts for his teammates. These are packages that can be targeted and destroyed by the enemy team or picked up by your fellow teammates. Once placed on the ground, they are visible on the minimap to all.
Holy cow, that is really cool, Kristen. So, just to recap here, nobody can see this goblin. And so here's my question. If he's spotted by an enemy player, he shows up on the map like where he's at for that
Correct.
Hot second that he's visible. Does that go for the friendly team as well?
Yes, they would see. As soon as he's on the map for everybody.
So if the friendly player sees them, does the enemy team see where he is on the map as well? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. And I would have to say yes. Yes, they can. Because, if one person sees Santa, everybody's seen Santa.
That's great. So I'm sure you're going to tell us about these gifts, right?
Well, of course I am.
But before we get there, what's his mount? Because he is a mount.
Exactly. So how do you make a mount? Well, guess what? We're here to tell you today. And Santley, to deliver the presents, needs a little help. So I thought we could do the sleigh. And instead of being pulled by reindeer, he would be pulled by fellow goblins. And the lead would have a red gem tied to where his nose should be.
Amazing. I'm picturing the butcher riding the same specialty mount, or Stitches riding this mount.
I also like to imagine they've got a little whip that they crack, but that might be too cruel to goblins. So maybe not.
They might be able to take it. I mean, they go through some serious. Maybe it's like something to do with candy or a candy cane that he can use to kind of put in front of them like a carrot on a stick, and they're running towards. How about it's treasure on a stick, and he holds it out, and they're chasing after the treasure.
Perfect. So you don't need to spook them into running with the sound of the crack of a whip. You tempt them with the treasure that they cannot resist.
And they will never receive it, which is cruel in its own way. Let's get on some basics here. What's your first basic?
The first one is called Jingle Bell Rock. And Santley leaves a gift of jingle bells for those ready to open it. A friendly hero that finds it and activates it is granted a small, permanent bonus to speed.
Oh, permanent bonus. Dang. This
is why he can't be seen and why the presents can be destroyed by the enemy team and they're visible on the map. Because I want these gifts to be permanent, right? Because you're gifted it for Christmas, it's yours to keep forever. No give backs, technically.
Right.
So the trait is kind of how you nerf that to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, potentially.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So in theory, you could have Tracer pick this up. Then when it goes on cooldown, I mean, what's the cooldown for this? And are there any limitations to where the presents can be placed on the battlefield? Do they have to be as far into the battlefield as either the most up fort and keep of that lane, or can they be placed like at the core and they can just keep getting collected without having the ability to be destroyed?
That's a great question, and definitely one that could be abused to the maximum. So for sanity's sake, let's say that they have to be placed on the battlefield where the enemy team could access them.
Okay, cool. So basically in the lane up into where maybe the towers are, or the fort or keep, and if you destroy the fort and keeps getting pushed back, maybe there's like a visual for the Santley player that could see where they would be able to put gifts.
Yeah, totally. And then once the gift is picked up by a hero, it's been picked up and it's off the map. It's gone.
Cool. So does it take time to channel these gifts like a tribute, or do you just run over it like Crash Bandicoot and you pick it right up and just keep going?
For the heroes to pick it up, let's go with a slight timer to activate it, because they'd have to unwrap it, and if it's got twine on there, you need to get scissors to cut it open, so they would need some time.
That's it. Absolutely. Doesn't matter if you have a full-on Mirrodin axe or hammer. You have to get some scissors. I mean, you want to take care of the wrapping paper, maybe save it for next year.
Exactly. Fold it up nicely. And what if the thing needs batteries?
Seriously. And you know how they say stress-free packaging? Yeah, right. I've never met a stress-free package of Jingle Bell Rock that gives me an increased movement speed.
Never. Well, you got to work for the gifts a little bit, right? It's not enough to have been good all year long.
What's your second basic?
The second one is called the candy cane. And it's a giant candy cane with a bow around it. And the hero that finds this gift receives a small permanent bonus to basic attack damage.
Ooh, so I see what you're doing here. So the first one is a bonus to speed, and the second one is attack damage here. So it gets placed in the same place, or the place that the goblin chooses, and they have to unwrap it in the same sort of way. And when they get this bonus to their attack damage, it sticks forever.
Correct.
So if they pick up multiple of these, and maybe one of your Qs as well, they'd be faster and do more attack.
Exactly. So then that brings in team coordination, because who's going to get what? Does one person get all of it because they can carry you to victory? Or do you spread it around based on who needs what to make the team better?
Yeah, and this feels really supporty to me. I know you said specialist, so I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So what's your third basic?
And the third one, ribbons and wreaths. And it's a ribboned wreath that's left, and it grants a hero that finds it a small permanent bonus to ability damage.
Dang, that's a powerful one.
That would be a special one. It would be a really long cooldown, and it would probably be fought over, and maybe it would cause infighting in your own team, which could lead to more trouble than it's worth. But, see where it goes.
The last thing I need in my games is infighting, Kristen.
Are you telling me you get people on your teams to fight with one another, Jeff? That's so strange. That's so strange.
Never have I ever. Everyone gets in, just throws around good lucks and have funs, and everybody's just always so happy. Although I have found recently, I've found some really happy people, which is crazy, even when we lose.
Yeah, it's fun to see those people that are like, oh, no big deal, man. It's all right next time, maybe. I found more and more of those people.
Yeah, or somebody says, good thing it's just a game. I'm like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right.
Right? We're all just here to have fun.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you brought Santley into the Nexus, you'd be having fun and getting presents.
You would be. And then, of course, you get his heroic presents, which are even better because these are some of the biggest names.
Let's hear them.
In all of Wintervale.
What's your first heroic?
All right, the first one is called, I'm making me giggle, Frosty the Snowman.
Okay.
You know why? I didn't realize. I never said it out loud before now, and it sounds like Krusty's. Okay, moving on. Frosty the Snowman. After spending enough time to put together this creation, Santley leaves behind a sentient snowman that pushes a lane all by itself, collecting XP for the team as a gift. Because it is a frozen monstrosity, though, it emits a slowing aura.
Ooh, okay, so the first thing I want to ask is, you said after spending enough time to put this together. So does that mean, are you alluding to the fact that you have to get to level 10 to use this, or are you saying that it takes Santley a second to build this snowman, like he has to channel for a while to build him up?
I'm saying it's a channeling. He's got to actually physically put this thing together, put on the little cap, the corncob pipe, and the button nose, 2 eyes made out of coal, and send him on his way. So it's kind of like an Abathur monstrosity, but instead of having the hat that controls it, gives you power over it, you get to have that slowing aura, which means you could potentially leave it as a trap that your team could take advantage of if the enemy goes in and tries to destroy it.
Oh, I love it. So it's different too because you don't control its placement or what it's attacking, correct?
Correct. You just put it in a lane and it just keeps pushing until it's destroyed. That's
cool, because that's different. That's like a combination of that Abathur ability and even a lava wave kind of thing where you're selecting the wave to, or selecting the lane to put the wave in this case where the snowman would go. I really like that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. What's your second heroic?
Okay, this one is called Rodolph the Reindeer, and this is my favorite. Calling upon the legendary reindeer of Santley's dimension, Santley sends Rodolph the Reindeer to help the team in their darkest hour. When Rodolph arrives, the entire enemy team is stunned, and then they're disoriented, and then they're blinded due to the sheer brightness of this arriving reindeer.
So he's going to fly in. Rodolph, the reindeer, is going to fly in. And he does these things. So he stuns them, then disorients them, then blinds them, and then he just pieces out.
Basically, if you can't get a kill in that time, you don't deserve a kill, is what I'm saying.
That is heroic, Kristen. I mean, that is really, really powerful.
I just like the idea because, it was super foggy when Rudolph made his famous flight. So I figured if it's your darkest hour, here's a bright light that could potentially save you, give you what you need to take advantage and take a kill or two so you can turn the tides in your favor.
So this begs the couple questions here in my mind when I'm thinking, which is where I usually do my thinking is in my mind. So Santley, does he have attacks, like basic attacks? Are you ever in the battlefield where you're like fighting people?
No, I don't want him to have any basic attacks. I want him to basically be a Santa goblin. And Santa works by not being seen, basically. He leaves presents unbeknownst to kids and then disappears.
Okay, so that helps me think that this heroic isn't too powerful, because I'm thinking this would be the presence of another character in this team fight, where Abathur, you're hatting people, you're sending in mines, you're doing these things. So this heroic is Santley's presence in this team fight. It does a lot, but once it's over, it's over. So like you said, if you don't land that kill, then you're SOL in a way.
Exactly, and you're going to be behind XP unless you play incredibly smart and you have a great 4 stack, and these presents are going to hopefully give everybody the permanent increases they need to have a 4-man equal the strength of a 5-man. And of course, your first team fights are going to be very, very difficult. So if you have a heroic that can really, really allow you to get that one kill that you just need to get yourself on track, I think it would work.
And the animation is just amazing. I mean, thinking of how this, how does he call the reindeer? Like,
oh goodness, I didn't even give this any thought, but it's sounding more epic than I imagined, because the Rudolph that I know was that little claymation movie, right? So with this one, you probably want some adult reindeer with huge antlers, and he's like snarling, I don't know, foaming at the mouth.
He has rabies. He's coming. He needs some sort of like goblin horn of Gondor, right? That he giggles or something and then just blows this horn and the reindeer comes flying in, right? Maybe it's like a gong. Maybe the method for calling the reindeer in changes every time. Like one time he pulls out a horn, the next time he calls it in, it's a gong. Maybe it's, sleigh bells that he he puts out, or Chad is saying he pulls it out of a Christmas vault portal, like a portal pops up and it's got Christmas lights around it. That's a great idea. And they're also saying that it would be balanced because you'd be down a team member, which is great. I mean, that's exactly what you were thinking, right?
Exactly. The balance that you need in order to make a 4-stack work, because how does a good specialist work off by themselves if they're the one that's bringing in enough XP to give you the lead you need to make that 4-stack viable?
Absolutely. This is really good build, Kristen. So if you had to sum it all up, what would you say?
Oh, goodness. Show but don't be seen.
Oh, I like that. So you're laying these little packages around so people pick them up and just get buffed. And it is in that realm of support and specialist. You're right.
Yeah, but since there weren't any heals, since Blizzard's logic is if they don't have any direct heals, we'll put them in specialist, because we saw that with Medivh. That's why I figured specialist rather than support.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is well thought out and very cool. So those are two almost complete builds. Let's get into the super fun stuff. Let's talk about specialty skins and dances for these characters. So I'll go first with my specialty skin. I figured that the Strange Snowman would have a specialty skin that was the Strange Yellow Snowman.
Oh, now full yellow snowman, implying it was made after the snow changed color, or partly yellow, slightly melted on the bottom.
Yes to all of the above. I'm talking different skin variations here. So at the first one, it's just a little bit of yellow and then maybe a little more. And then the third one was made after the snow was made yellow. And the skin would actually be called the Even Stranger Yellow Snowman.
Oh, that would your team even want to go near you at this point?
I don't know. I mean, this is a perfect thing. If you got that ability on you where you had the hat and you had to run towards this Even Stranger Yellow Snowman and actually interact with it in order to not be stunned, I think I'd choose the stun.
Yeah, I think I'd choose the stun too, especially if you're one of those more pristine characters. I don't think Uther would ever run toward that snowman.
Absolutely not. What's your specialty skin for the goblin?
For the goblin, we just turn him into a full human Santa. Bent over, carrying his sack. He's running as fast as he can. Those black boots of his. Got his big beard. Waving.
Is he shorter? Like a shorter Santa? Like a running around shorter?
Shorter and skinnier Santa. But maybe it's just the stature and the bent over that you'd need to keep. Not so much the thinness.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That would be funny. I really like Lil Ragnaros. I think they need to do more things like that. Like, imagine if they had like Little Leoric or something like that. It'd be pretty funny.
Oh, well, do you remember back in the day when they had the bobblehead heroes?
Right.
That was fun. A lot of people didn't like that one, but I thought it was hilarious. And I was playing Vala heavily at that time. So to have her tiny little body with the huge head, it was amazing.
Yeah, but I like this full Santa idea. I mean, you're getting the full human Santa feel out of this. So what were you thinking for his dance if he had to type /dance in chat?
Oh, I think he'd do something simple and cute, like he'd ice skate a figure eight. So he'd do his little figure eight and then a little twirl at the end.
That's simple and great. Maybe he would do like he could do a jump, like make a little noise, like like
so
land
his
the
little
jump.
axle and he lands on one foot.
And if there are friendly heroes in the area and they're not in combat, maybe they do like a clap. Very nice.
Oh, that would be incredible. 6.5 out of 10.
6.5 out of 10. Love it. My specialty dance over here is called Dancing with Myself for the snowman. And Sax would not be able to type /dance in the Nexus. like in World of Warcraft, which is a true thing that I researched, if another character gets near the strange snowman and they begin to dance, Sax will join in on the dance that they are doing and perform whatever that is.
That's incredible. So not only is he a man turned snowman, he's also incredibly cultured too.
Yeah, he's a dancer.
Oh, what if he was? What if he was a dancer?
I'm changing the intro as we speak to make him a dancer.
There we go.
These characters have definitely been forged.
HeroesForge.
Thank you everyone for joining us for our Winter Veil special this year, where we're forging these crazy characters. And if this is your first time listening to the show, happy holidays to you and welcome to HeroesForge. We're so happy that you're here, and happy holidays to everyone that is coming back again and again and helping us keep this show going week after week after week, Kristen.
Every single week. You guys are just as dedicated as we are, even more dedicated, it seems. And it's amazing because the creativity you guys have. We're reading through builds all the time now. It's incredible. And the humor and the heart that goes into these things. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really great, the stuff that you guys send us, so keep sending it, which is a great segue into how to get in contact with us. We're on Twitter. You can send us a tweet at Forge Heroes. You can send us an email, contactheroesforge@gmail.com, or you can visit our website, which is heroesforge.club. There's a contact tab over there. Send us your idea, even if it's a crazy idea for one ability or someone you'd like to see in the Nexus. Send us an idea, and we will do something about it. I mean, we've got a ton of ideas backlogged that'll last us forever, but we want more. Keep them coming, and even if it's just a simple idea, we would love to hear it. Right, Kristen?
We would, and maybe this coming year we'll have a new format so we can fit everybody in and get this rotation faster here.
That's right. That's a great idea. I mean, we've got some awesome builds, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers out there. If you sent a build in, you know who you are, and it's on the horizon. I promise. We have a lot of things to get through in 2017. This Winter Veil thing is really fun, and I love, Kristen, how they implement this into all of their games now. I mean, Overwatch has it, Hearthstone has it, Heroes has it, and Warcraft has it. I mean, the only one that's missing it is StarCraft, I believe.
That's a good point. I guess it would be StarCraft, but even so, just the fact that they put this much time into creating holiday events, it's just so endearing because everyone gets excited, and so many people have off of work and school, and they now finally get a lot of time to play. So it's really nice to see that super excitement and almost over involvement this time of year when we know the community is really expanding.
Yeah, and maybe it's that time where you get your new computer for the holidays and you decide to build it, or maybe you have the time to finally get out there and play some games and try out Hearthstone or Heroes or something that you haven't played before. Even if it's not a Blizzard game, it's a great time to game these next couple weeks, and there's a lot of fun stuff out there.
Oh yeah, you better believe Christmas Day, that's all I'm doing.
That's right, that's the best way to spend it, I'm telling you. Building your new toys and playing with new games and hanging out with family and friends. Totally. And to all of our friends, again, friend forgers, forge your friends out there. Thank you so much for everything and supporting the show. Happy holidays. Happy Winter Veil. Kristen, where can people find you in the interwebs?
People can find me at Dream Destroyer. That is DRMDESTRYR over at Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as my health and fitness blog, battletobebetter.weebly.com. where the posts will be coming on Wednesday next week, and then Wednesday the week after that due to this holiday season.
Lots of changes in schedules. A reminder for our change in schedule again, it's going to be recorded on Monday the 26th at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on twitch.tv/Amove TV, and that's our special 52nd episode where we'll be forging each other. You do not want to miss that. Normally you can vote on what build you like the best on our show. because we build the same characters back to back on our normal episodes. And those normal episodes will resume in January, recording on Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on the same channel. If you're looking for me, I'm right here on HeroesForge every week. You can download our show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any of your favorite podcasting apps. If you like our show and you listen to us on iTunes, drop us a 5-star review and a comment so we can give you a shout out on the show, and it helps the show grow as well. Again, we're on Amove TV, which is an amazing podcast and entertainment network. Check out all the shows over there on Amove. You can find us on Twitter at Forge Heroes. Contact HeroesForge at gmail.com. HeroesForge.club is our website, and if you'd like to support us, again, that site is patreon.com/HeroesForge. And a huge thank you again to all of our patrons supporting the show currently. It's been amazing. Kristen, I think we can call this first episode amazing.
I think we can too. Happy Winter Veil, everybody.
Happy Winter Veil. Everyone out there, have a wonderful holiday season. We will see you not far from now. Lots of Heroes Forge is on the way, and we will see you all in the real world.